Hey, it's Emily, and I'm gonna give you some beginner-friendly strength training tips based off of structure, routine, exercise, and how to get started if you're just getting back into strength training or strength training is something completely new for you. So, if I were you starting again, or if you were my client coming to me saying, Emily, I've heard about strength training, I know about all of its benefits, I really want to get going on this because I know it's going to be important for my health moving forward, I would say you came to the right place. Let's talk about where you're at today. So, understanding what your daily activities are. Are you at your desk a lot? Are you a victim of bad posture? Is your activity going up and down the stairs usually, or walking to and from the car? Like, what level of activity are you doing? Are you running? Are you a runner? Do you play sports and you're just starting to get into the gym to support yourself there? So understanding that, because that could determine what your strength training goals are. Maybe it's that over the years you've gotten overweight and so you really just want to get some movement in, and there's so many benefits that come with that, so you know that strength training is the answer. Either way, beginner, just getting started, but that can help determine your goals and what you're training specifically for in the gym. Next, like when it comes to programming, so I like to put my beginners in a specific rep range. 8 to 12 reps, building for hypertrophy with a certain amount of time under tension. 8 to 12 reps puts you more in that range to build muscle. That's what we want to do first. Because if we were starting in strength, this is where strength training can get a little bit confusing, because it's like, wait a second, I'm training to get stronger. Yes, you're going to get stronger in a muscle building phase. Strength phase would be like lower reps, higher weight. That's not where you want to start as a beginner. You want to start with a little bit lighter weight, and I'll get more into that as well, but where you can last for 8 to 12 reps, because we want to build that muscle, and then we'll move into a strength phase to get stronger with the muscle that you've built to start. So in those first couple of training sessions, go a little more conservative on the weights. It's not worth it to get injured just starting out. It's best to be more conservative and try to understand where you're at, how it feels in your body, how sore you're gonna get from using a certain weight, and then progressively overloading, progressively building on top of that. So go a little bit lighter than you think. Feel it out, understand, okay, if you're doing a bench press or with dumbbell bench press, understanding like, I'm trying to squeeze here. Do I feel that? Yes. Could I have done 5 more reps? Yes. Okay, then I'll go up on the next set or next week, and just really feel it out. It's definitely leave at least like 2 reps on the table. So start at a lower intensity. So like less in the loads, like lighter loads, not too much volume. So I'd say 8 reps is gonna be like a sweet spot. And then as you move on over like 2, 3, 4 weeks, then definitely start adding weight over each week. And if it feels like you can't add more weight, but you can do more reps, then add a couple more reps to work yourself up to 12. That's a way that you could do it. Or what I like to say too is then working into more of strength, you could try a heavier weight and then drop it and do the lighter weight for the rest of the set. So you can still push yourself. You want to still push yourself to go, because you want it to be fun. And it's fun to push yourself, and you're exploring like where you're at. So I would definitely use this beginner phase as like a lot of curiosity in how things feel, where you are, and seeing like the progress immediately and where you could go. And that's the cool thing about getting into the gym. You'll notice yourself get stronger within the first week or 2. Physically, those things won't show up in your body until like 6 to 8 weeks down the line, as long as you're being consistent. You won't notice the difference in size of muscle until a couple months have passed. So you'll get stronger and you'll feel that first, and then you'll start to notice those physical changes on your body after that. Within one acute training session, like one strength session or gym session, let's say, as a beginner, I like to include a range of activities. Like if you were my client, I'd be teaching you things so then I could progress you into harder exercises down the line. So I have that in mind, like based off of where you're at. Like, okay, within a single session, the things that I start my beginners on are dynamic stretching and opening up the joints, like the hips especially, getting the shoulders moving, just getting the blood flowing. And then we work into muscle activation of like main muscle groups. And so it's the shoulder complex that I like to activate, the core, and the hips. So whether or not you're doing squats or deadlifts or like a main upper pull, like pull-ups or a lat pull down, I'll program exercises for those muscle groups in that specific direction to start activating the muscles and priming them for those compound exercises and compound lifts. So for example, if you are gonna do a deadlift that day, I would have you do glute specific exercise, like a clamshell, for example, or a glute kickback with a band, or some banded walks to activate the glutes and get those ready to be able to use them in the deadlift. If you're gonna do a overhead press that day, then I might have you work your shoulders and like getting some movement into like a push-up to a downward dog, just to get the shoulder warmed up and ready to go. And then always core, and specifically anti-rotational stuff in the core. That helps build the strength there. And I also include rotational core exercises within that routine, like that specific day as well. But just getting warmed up, I love doing anti-rotational core work. So that might look like a dead bug or a Palloff press, or even like a variation of a plank. Those are great to build and like activate your core. Starting as a beginner, what I have in mind and where you're at and how I would like to progress my clients into doing like fun, cool stuff. I mean, at least like things that I think are like badass, like barbell cleans. If that's not your goal and you don't want to do those, fine. But I think they're great exercises to use your entire body and just to challenge yourself mentally and physically. Say we're trying to progress to a barbell power clean. If you don't have the strength yet to do even a barbell squat, then we would start with dumbbells or kettlebells or even body weight. I would have you start with body weight, work into your mobility. I think about the things that are involved in like more progressive exercises and seeing where you're at to get your mobility and your strength to that point. So we might start with kettlebell work, maybe kettlebell cleans on a single arm, kettlebell cleans on both arms, just to get your body into feeling those kinds of movement patterns. So then that way you can progress later on. So thinking about a beginner starting from that progressive exercise to a more regressed version of that exercise. So then that way you can move on in strength training and resistance training and feel that those challenges that you're putting on yourself and you're passing them. So that's what I have for a beginner friendly strength training structure. After doing 4 to 6 weeks within that 8 rep range, depending on where your mobility is at that point and how much stronger you're getting, I'd either keep you on a muscle building rep range, so going more toward like 12 reps. If your basis seems pretty good and your form seems pretty good at that point, I might drop it to around 6 reps and have you push to do heavier weights. Depending on where you're at, that's how I would either split you into more of a strength phase or even more into like a hypertrophy phase to continue to build more muscle. So seeing where you're at that point, then that would branch you off from there. And either way, just being in the gym is about understanding yourself and what you're feeling. So keep pushing yourself, keep being curious about how it feels and if you could do more. And if you want to test it out and you don't have a trainer, ask somebody nearby that seems to know what they're doing if they can spot you, so you can try to push yourself to go heavier safely, because that is also really important. Getting your form down is the most important thing that you could do as a beginner. So that should be the first thing that you focus on, honestly, is form. And I have a bunch of form videos. Check your form on my YouTube channel in a certain playlist. So if you want to go check your form in there, I have a bunch of videos that show you like how to do it, what it shouldn't look like, what it should look like, where you should feel it. So go check that out. And if you want to join me in strength training, I have my clients send me videos of what their form looks like, and I can give you specific direction on that so you know how to fix it and what it should feel like. Constant communication with me as your trainer is so important. So if that's something you're looking for, definitely DM me or comment here, training. and we'll get you going on that. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being curious about your health and wanting to get started in resistance training, because it is one of the best things that you can do in your life today to take care of yourself, along with the lifestyle stuff too. So check out what I've got going on there on my page, and I'll talk to you soon.